Peace, peace, what's good, family? Welcome to SincereluvdagodCast, where we speak truth to power from a foundational Black American perspective. Today's topic is not for the faint of heart. We're asking a real question. Are foundational Black Americans in a real state of emergency? We're breaking down the DEI deception, the policies of benign neglect, and the failure of these minority initiatives to move the needle for our people. It's time we stop being the backbone of everybody else's struggle and start focusing on what exclusively benefits us as FBA freedmen. Before we go in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or if this episode sparks something in you. We're building a community of thinkers, not followers. And if you really rock with the message, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's get into it.
Africans have to be organized to fight for their liberation. And those Africans have to be organized to fight for their liberation.
Investing and building every day.
We have the easiest way to make money online. As you see over here, there's no MLM, no pyramid scheme, no ads or marketing required, no selling tickets in the streets, and you don't need any labor costs to scale up.
Hey, if you're interested in scaling your ticket business or your business into the millions, like I've done, selling tickets strictly online, 100% online, you'll never catch me out in the streets. Go to thetickettrap.com. Again, thetickettrap.com.
Yo family, real quick, I'm proud to announce the soft launch of Sincereluvdagod's new book, From the Womb to Illmatic, a hip-hop inspired blueprint for unlocking your child's inner genius. This ain't your average parenting book, this is for the culture, inspired by Illmatic, built around his own son Seven's early development, and packed with real tools to help parents turn everyday moments into genius-level learning. If you've ever wanted to give your child a head start without losing your roots, this book is for you. Available now on Amazon. Order now and leave a 5-star review. You already know, we raising brilliance around here.
And those Africans have to be organized to fight for their liberation. And those Africans have to be organized to fight for their liberation.
All right, peace, family. What's good? What's good? Peace. Welcome to another episode of SincereluvdagodCast. Let me turn the music down just a little bit. Welcome to another episode of SincereluvdagodCast. I am the God Sincere Love. How y'all doing? How is y'all doing on this lovely Sunday afternoon? Still waiting for Nicey Girl to pull up. Nicey Girl should be with us today. I'm not sure. I think she might be a little tied up right now. Or maybe she forgot that we was going live right now. I don't know. But I just hit her up. She should be pulling up. She should be pulling up to the set to come rock with us today, as far as I know. Unless something came up. But as far as I know, Nicey Girl should be with us today. But in the meantime, as we're waiting for Nicey Girl to come up in this thing, I need y'all to hit that like button for me. Please do me that favor and hit the like button. When you hit the like button, that helps to boost our video into the YouTube algorithm just a little bit. Just a little bit gives us a little bump inside the YouTube algorithm that, it signals to YouTube that people are interested, and so they start to show it to more people. And y'all hit that like button. Same thing when y'all share this out on your social media platforms. Let everybody know that we're live right now. When you copy the link, that also sends a message to YouTube that people are interested in what we're doing over here, and prompts them to show our video to more people on YouTube. So you definitely want to like, share, and if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live or drop new content here on SincereluvdagodCast. We appreciate everybody rocking with us as always. Appreciate everybody rocking with us. Shout out to Jesse Paris in the building. What's going on? What's going on? New studio setup. Yeah, man. I've been rocking with this set right here for a couple of weeks now. But yeah, it's a different look. It's a little bit of a different look. But what's going on with y'all, man? How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me okay? Is the music loud in the background, or is the music okay in the background? Y'all let me know if I need to turn the music down. Can I be heard pretty good with the music in the background? Yeah. I believe we were live last week Sunday. I believe we were live last week Sunday. Yeah, we were live last week Sunday. We were talking about what was the topic last week? Which episode did we do last week? Hold on, let me check. What was we talking about? I know on Monday we did a broadcast on Monday as well, and we had a guest on. Danae Wright was on with us on Monday. We were talking about reparations. They're having an event out there in Los Angeles. Somewhere in the Los Angeles area. Somewhere out there in California in the Los Angeles area. I forgot exactly where it's at, but they have an event out there. Matter of fact, is it today? And is that why Nicey Girl is not here? I think that's what Nicey Girl might be at that event right now. And that was my bad. I forgot that was today. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the reparations and relaxation event is today. And that's why Nicey is not with us. My bad. I forgot. She had prior engagement. So yeah, we talked about that on Monday. We promoted that event on Monday, and we talked about, how the health and wellness and paying attention to your mental health and all of that coincides with the reparations movement. That was a real good conversation, real good discussion. Danae was dropping a lot of game on that broadcast. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, make sure you catch the replay. The title of it is called Let's Talk Reparations with Danae Wright. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, you definitely want to check that out. So the music could go down a little lower. All right, let me see. That's like too low now. Let's turn it off. How about that? But I sound good. Okay, so good. Y'all can hear me pretty good either way. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all go check out the replay to that one. I forgot that was today. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's today. So Nicey probably not pulling up on us today. I forgot about that. So yeah, y'all make sure y'all catch the replay to that one. Like I said, a lot of good game was dropped. But last week we was on here, we was talking about things going on in these sanctuary cities. A lot of the drama and stuff that was going on in these sanctuary cities, and all of these layoffs and budget cut downs and all the stuff that's happening all around the country in order to appease and take care of these illegals. A lot of funding is going towards them, but it's being cut from American citizens and foundational Black Americans specifically, are being ignored and undermined in order to take care of these illegals. both sides of the aisle, by the way. We call out the issue on both sides of the aisle. You know what I'm saying? So that was the discussion on last week's broadcast. So check that out if you haven't had a chance as well. What else is going on, man? What else is going on? Have y'all heard the new Raekwon album? Raekwon dropped a new album, The Emperor's New Clothes. I did a live reaction to that the night that it dropped as well. Y'all could check that out. That's available on this channel right here. That got a lot of views too, by the way. That the live reaction I did to Raekwon's album got even more views than the live reaction that I did to the Clips album, surprisingly. Because I was surprised because everybody's talking about the Clips album. The Clips is all over the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that would do more numbers than the Raekwon joint because the Raekwon album didn't really have a lot of promotion on it. You know what I'm saying? The rollout wasn't as extravagant as the Clips rollout was leading up to the album. So I wasn't even sure if a lot of people even knew about the album, that it was coming out and all of that. But I did a live reaction on it, and it's getting a lot. It's getting a lot of views so far. So y'all make sure y'all go check it out. Shout out to Chicago in the building. How the mayor fund these illegals and mess up the school system. Right? Yeah, we was talking about all that on last week's episode. Yeah. But yeah, the Raekwon album is fire, man. Have y'all had a chance to hear that Raekwon album? The Raekwon album is fire. Ain't no skips on that joint. Ain't no skips on that joint. Came out Friday. I've been bumping it all day, every day ever since. Everybody's talking about the Nas feature. On the Clips album, they had some really dope features on there. Nas had a feature on that album as well. Most of the talk from the Clips album was about the Kendrick Lamar feature, though. A lot of people talking about the Kendrick Lamar feature. There was a lot of talk about the Tyler, the Creator feature, which I thought was just okay, but a lot of people really like the Tyler, Creator feature from the Clips album. And he's getting ready to drop an album tomorrow, by the way. Tyler, the Creator got a new album dropping tomorrow. What's it called? Don't Break the Glass or Don't Knock on the Glass or something like that. Something like that. He got a new album that's generating a lot of talk online right now, dropping on a Monday for some reason. Albums nowadays usually come out on Fridays. He's dropping this one on a Monday. I don't know the significance. Maybe there's a significance around the date. What's tomorrow? The 21st, I think it is. I don't know if there's some significance around that specific date and reason why he's dropping it on a Monday. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm looking forward to checking it out. But a lot of people were talking about that. Stove Guard Cooks on that POV joint. I was happy to see that. Seemed like the internet was very happy to see that and hear that as well. A lot of people wanted Stove Guard to get a verse off on that joint, but he just did the hook. He held it down on the hook. Right now, he's that guy. He don't miss when it comes to the hooks. Right now, Stove Guard Cooks, he don't miss when it comes to the hooks. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean? Everybody ain't tapped in just yet, but that Clips feature definitely raised his profile. So I think, more people are getting into Stove Guard Cooks now. Who else was on there? The Ab Lava. There wasn't too much talk about the Ab Lava feature. And the Nas feature had a little bit of chatter, but nothing too crazy. Most of the chatter about as far as the Clips album and the features on the Clips album was about Kendrick Lamar on Chains and Whips, which he absolutely bodied that. That's absolutely a verse of the year contender. And so the following week, Raekwon drops The Emperor's New Clothes, and the feature talk from this album. He got a lot of dope features on there. He got the Clan on there. Meth is on there. Inspector Deck is on there. Ghostface shows up a couple of times. Griselda is on there. Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher, Westside Gun. They on that joint. Couple more features on there, but everybody's talking about that Nas feature on the song Omerta. I guess is how you say it, Omerta. You know what I mean? That's one of those. I had to look it up. I didn't even know what the term meant, but that's one of those mafia terms that basically means no snitching. You know what I'm saying? Keep your mouth closed, type shit. But Nas came through with another verse of the year contender. Right now, it seems like it's a battle between Kendrick and Nas for verse of the year so far. Nas went in on that verse, man. And then there's an alternative verse. Some people suspect that it might be AI. I'm not even sure, to be honest. My first thought when I heard it, let me just slow down. There's an alternative Nas verse to the Old Merta song that leaked online like the same day or the next day. It's been circulating online where people are saying that he's going at Jim Jones on the alternative verse. To be honest, it sounds authentic. I listened to it multiple times. My first thought was this is AI. Nas ain't going at no Jim Jones. This is some AI shit. I listened to it. I don't hear nothing that makes it sound, AI-ish. It sounds very Nas-like as far as the rhyme structure and the cadence. And, I know they could duplicate the voice and all of that, but somebody, from what I understand, I don't know all of the different AI tools that people use to create audio and create songs and stuff like that. But from what I understand, you have to prompt the AI with the lyrics, and you could clone somebody's voice and have the AI do the lyrics like Drake did with the Snoop Dogg and the Tupac joint. If you remember during the battle when Drake dropped that track where he had the AI voice of Tupac and Snoop Dogg when he was going at Kendrick, it had their voice, but you could still hear Drake's flow. So basically, Drake wrote a verse, recorded a verse, or whoever wrote the verse. I don't know. We know he got writers and stuff like that. But Drake writes rhymes as well also. So I don't know. Whatever. It was a written verse, Drake verse, that he recorded and then used AI to clone their voices over his. So it was still Drake's flow, still Drake's cadence and all of that. It just had their voice. But this just sounds like Nas. It just sounds like Nas. So I'm like, I don't know. Is it AI? If this is AI, this is really good. I don't know what tool they're using. If this is AI, it's really good because I can't tell. I've been listening to Nas for 30 years now. I've studied this man's flow for 30 years now, and I can't tell if it is AI. And I think my camera is going to die. If my camera does cut off, don't trip. I'll just have to switch to my webcam and let that one charge for a little while. I keep forgetting to charge my damn camera before it's time to go live. I think the cable that I'm using for it is a little weak, or it got a short in it or something. I don't know. But don't trip. If the camera cuts off, I'll just switch to the webcam, and we still gonna keep it moving. But like I was saying about the Nas verse, I don't know, man. Sound like Esco to me. And if it is a real verse, I would say he definitely was getting at Jim Jones and responded to Jim Jones. And so what it sounds like to me, just assuming that it's not AI and that it really is an alternative verse from Nas, it sounds to me like, this song with Raekwon been done. And then the whole Jim Jones thing happened and started going viral and all of that. And I think he did the alternative version to that verse because it incorporates a lot of bars from the original verse. It incorporates a lot of bars from the original verse that's on Raekwon's album. That's another thing that's like, okay, this is some real fly shit if it is AI. I don't know how they got that done because he's still saying some of the same bars from the original verse and then just flipping it and going into some shots at Jim Jones. And so it sounds, if it's real, I'm assuming it's real, it sounds like he already had this verse done and he was thinking about using that slot on Raekwon's album to send shots at Jim Jones' way, and he recorded the alternative verse, but then decided that the original verse was better and more fitting for the song and kept the original verse the way that it was and then let the alternative verse leak online. That's what it looks like and sounds like to me, which was a good choice in my opinion. Both versions of the verse is fire, but the original verse, I think it holds more weight. It holds more weight, especially when you get into let me pull the lyrics up while we talk about this. And I'm probably gonna do a whole breakdown on this, but let me go to Genius and pull up the lyrics. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Oh wait, Drake got a song called Omerta too. I didn't know that. I probably do know the song if I hear it, but let me see. But the part on Nas' verse, which I'm glad he kept the original, is when he gets into this part here. This morning I woke, so I went to an auction to get lost in a different scene. Spent a ticket on art. So interesting. A painting of a fiend in Hudson Yard. Another painting was black natives before century. You know the claim. This was all natives terrain. And the year was like 16 something. So could this mean hustling began when the Indian finessed the Dutchman with opium or horseback? This way before crack. We always been the Mecca for supply and demand. And every era, legends in this land was going hand in hand. Damn, it's my who we are. So that section of the verse right there, to me, just outweighs everything else. I'm glad he didn't go with the alternative version, assuming that the alternative version is real. It was a good choice to keep this one. This is way more legendary. This is way more poignant, particularly right now, while we're in this new renaissance of foundational Black Americans delineating and circling our wagons around our lineage. You know, everybody's talking about the lineage and us being native to the land and all of that. And, you know, the indigenous Black folks that was already here pre-Columbus and all of that. So for him to put those bars in there is very timely. And I think that it helped make this become a classic. All right. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Let me get my camera together. Now, why is my camera not coming on, though? Hold on. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. I think y'all can still hear me. I'm trying to get my camera together. For some reason, the web camera is not coming on now. Why is this not coming on? Hold on 1 second, y'all. Actually, let me play my background music while I'm trying to get this together. Y'all bear with me. Y'all bear with me as I try to get this together. Damn it, man. The camera is not coming on, y'all. What's up with this? Hold on. I'm trying to get it together. Y'all give me a second. Let me get this together. In the meantime, y'all hit the like button, share this out. We get this family together. Like this and share this out. As I work on getting my camera together. It looks like I'm gonna have to refresh this. Let me see. All right. Am I good now? Ladies and gentlemen? Y'all type a number 7 in the chat if you can see me and hear me now. Y'all type a number 7 in the chat if I could be seen and heard, ladies and gentlemen. I should be good now. I'm gonna have to use the webcam, which is a little janky, but we're gonna make it do what it do. Just waiting for y'all to respond in the chat so I could make sure that I can be seen and heard. Thank you. Shout out to When Shit Gets Rare. Performance issues alert. It's okay. Dismiss that. Okay, I'm good. I see the number 7's coming in. I'm good. All right. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm good. Sorry about y'all. Sorry about that. But I'm good. So yeah, like I was saying, man, the Raekwon album is fire. If y'all haven't heard it, definitely go check that out. It's a good summer for hip hop right now, man. You know, we're getting some good releases. I think, like I said, Monday, Tyler the Creator is going to drop tomorrow. I think Ghostface is next up as far as the mass appeal releases are concerned. They already dropped Slick Rick. They dropped Raekwon. I believe Ghostface is up next. Either him or Mobb Deep or Big L. But all of those albums are set to drop. Ghostface, Mobb Deep, Big L. And I believe Nas is going to be last. I think Nas and DJ Premier is going to be the cherry on top of this Legend Has It album release rollout. So far, so good, though. Slick Rick album was cool. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing I'm going to be bumping like that. But, you know, when I listened to it, you know what I mean? I felt what Slick Rick was doing with it. I had some issues with some of the content. I think I talked about that already. I won't get into that now. But as far as the music, you know, he made a good album for, you know what I'm saying, a person of his stature. You know what I mean? I felt like it was appropriate for where he's at right now in life and his career and everything like that. Pretty good album. Raekwon's album, though. Raekwon album, this is a classic, man. No, I can't say it's a classic. And actually, I'm going to do a broadcast later on this week breaking down the difference between a masterpiece and a classic. To me, Raekwon album is a masterpiece. The Clips album is a classic. Raekwon album is a masterpiece. And I'm going to do a whole broadcast breaking down why I say that and how I differentiate between the two. It's very close. They're very close as far as the criteria to making a masterpiece and making a classic. The criteria is very, very close, but there's a slight difference between having a classic and having a masterpiece. I think the Clips album is a classic, and as of now, I feel like Raekwon's album is a masterpiece. Both albums are extremely dope. Yeah, when Ghostface dropped, definitely. Ghostface is my favorite Wu-Tang member. Ghostface is my favorite out of the Wu-Tang. So yeah, when his album dropped, although I'm skeptical, I was skeptical of the Raekwon shit. I wasn't sure what to expect from Raekwon. We haven't got nothing like this from Raekwon in a while. His last album was in 2017. I didn't really feel it that much. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to like that album when it came out in 2017. And it was just like, oh, this is okay. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really know what to expect from this album, but it's Raekwon. So, of course, I'm going to tap in and see what's good. And I love it. It's incredible. So hopefully I get the same satisfaction from the Ghostface album. Now, Ghostface, he's walking a thin line because the name of his album is Supreme Clientele 2. Now, Supreme Clientele is a jewel. It's a gem within hip hop and within his discography and within the Wu-Tang discography. That Supreme Clientele album is like up there with the Purple Tape. You know what I'm saying? It's an extremely revered album. So to try to do part 2 and redo that is very, very tricky. It's very, very tricky. I wouldn't really advise it. Yeah, just as ill. Yeah, just as ill. You know what I'm saying? But to me, Ghost is my favorite because he got the best discography. And I just love his chamber. You know what I'm saying? Very soulful dude. You know what I'm saying? and the body of work, his discography, you know what I'm saying? It's unmatched. It's unmatched in the Wu. You know what I'm saying? Lyrically, yeah, you could say Jizza. Jizza's incredible, but he got Liquid Swords, and that's really it. You know what I'm saying? Beneath the Surface was cool. You know what I'm saying? Some cool shit here and there, but he don't got another classic or masterpiece under his belt and his solo catalog to really compete with a Ghostface. But anyway, that's not what we talking about today, man. That's not what we talking about today. I just wanted to shout out the Raekwon album and tell y'all who haven't had a chance to check it out to make sure y'all go check it out. You know what I'm saying? But today we're going to be talking about are foundational Black Americans really in a state of emergency? According to Mark Morial and the Urban League, they have declared a state of emergency for Black America due to all of these DEI rollbacks and a lot of the policy shifts that they're saying are coming from the Trump administration that are threatening to bring us back into the Jim Crow era, basically, is what they're saying. And so that's what we're going to be talking about on the main topic for today. But before we get into that, let's discuss a couple other things that's going on out here. First of all, did y'all see Brittany Griner did an interview with Cam Newton? Did y'all see that? Hold on, let me share my screen with y'all. You know, I didn't watch the whole interview or nothing. I just saw this one clip and I thought it was kind of interesting. Hold on. No, not that one. This one. Do it like this. Hold on. Oh yeah, there we go. Now y'all can't see. Hold on, y'all can't see it like that. Hold on. What about this one? We do it like that. Brittany Griner did an interview with Cam Newton. I don't know all what they talked about. I just saw this one clip right here, and I was like, damn. I remember I did a broadcast. I don't know if it was when she got out or it was while she was still locked up over there in Russia. But sometime back then, when she was in the news real heavy, I did a broadcast really sincerely asking the question of whether or not Brittany Griner is a biological male. Because I didn't really know who she was before the controversy, but when I started looking into her and seeing, you know, some of her content and stuff like that was out there online, I was really confused. I'm like, wait, is this a biological man that identifies as a woman that was playing in the WNBA? I was genuinely confused about it. And so I found some footage of her when she was in like high school and stuff like that. And it really just had me like, I think this is a dude. Isn't this a dude? But supposedly this is a biological female who is just, I guess, a stud. But I don't know. I seen this clip. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. I got to unmute it.
There's no like
hold on. Y'all heard that? This is a biological female who's just a stud. Right? Listen to this voice.
They don't separate people. There's no segregation. There's no like crimes, you know, like.
Yeah. So you don't know if you in there with a murder.
Her voice just as deep as Cam's. What's up with Brittany Griner, y'all? Am I tripping?
Murderer.
Well, yeah, I did know. Yeah. So yeah, like basically.
Am I tripping? That's all I'm gonna play. But am I tripping? Family, y'all let me know. Where the chat at? Let me go back to the chat. Said Action Brunson stole Ghost style. Yeah. Yeah, Liquid Swords is incredible. Yeah. He said, I remember when she kissed KG and he started to get mad. Really? Yeah, that voice is crazy, ain't it? That voice is crazy, ain't it? Do they got some type of like hormones or pills or something that make your voice deeper? I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm not bashing. I ain't doing none of that. I'm really confused and I'm just asking a question. Question, is the official FBA date 1526? Yeah. Yeah, 1526 be active. 1526 is around the origin of the ethnogenesis. Yes. It was Kevin Durant. I think I heard Kevin Durant used to date Brittany Griner. Is that true? Is that true? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. That voice throwing me all the way off. And the thing about it is, like I said, when I saw the footage when Brittany Griner was in high school, the voice was kind of deep back then. It just sounded like a gay dude. When I seen the footage when Brittany Griner was in high school, to me, it just looked and sounded like a gay dude. It was like a Tevin Campbell type of voice. You know what I'm saying? That's what I saw and heard when I saw her doing an interview back in high school. And that was back in high school, y'all. Wasn't taking no hormone pills or nothing like that back then. So I'm saying, damn, is this really a biological male that they're trying to pass off as a female? You know, do they got a dude playing in the WNBA? I don't know what's going on. I'm just asking questions. Said, according to the official date, 1526, the FBAs are Dominican? What you mean by that? How are we Dominican, sir? How are foundational Black Americans Dominican? What you mean by that? And no, I don't care if they dated. I don't know if yeah. So yeah, y'all saying she kissed Kevin Durant. Yeah, I heard they dated. I don't know though. I don't know. But anyway, I just found that to be kind of interesting. I wanted to know what y'all thought. I wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping over here by myself. So I know y'all saw the last couple of weeks or whatever, Nicki Minaj been going crazy on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter. Nicki Minaj just been going off on people left and right on there. I know y'all seen that, and I'm not about to get into the whole thing with Nicki Minaj going at Jay-Z and SZA, Punch from TDE, and who else? She was just mad at everybody. What's going on, Bruce? What's going on? Yeah, she was just mad at everybody going in. But then Nessa from Hot 97, she used to date or still dates, or I don't know if she was married to or whatever, but Nessa, who was in a relationship or is in a relationship with Colin Kaepernick, she had some things to say, kind of backing Nicki up about, you know, some of the things that she was saying about Jay-Z and that Hispanic woman that runs Rock Nation over there. What's her name? Something Perez or Diaz, something like that. Did y'all see that? Have y'all seen that? Let me play that. Let me play that. So she made some tweets first. I don't have the tweets on deck. She made some tweets first, and then this is a video that she made following up the tweets that she made.
Okay, so let me finish what I was saying. If you're wondering, why am I readdressing all of the things that I have already addressed years ago? Many people addressed all of these things. It's because Nicki Minaj recently shared her experience of going through different smear campaigns and what happens behind the scenes, talking about Jay-Z, Desiree Perez, and Rock Nation, right?
That's her name, Desiree Perez. That's her name. So basically, Nessa is saying, yo, I can relate to what Nicki Minaj is saying because that's the same thing that happened to Colin Kaepernick. Jay-Z, Desiree Perez, and the people at Rock Nation were running smear campaigns against Colin Kaepernick. I don't remember that. What was the smear campaign against Colin Kaepernick? What was the smear campaign against Nicki Minaj? I don't remember a lot of bad press and stuff coming out about Nicki Minaj. You know, I was one of the people that was very critical of Jay-Z when he partnered with the NFL, and he came out talking about we passed kneeling and all of that stuff, and just, you know, kind of just undermined the whole protest. I was very critical of Jay-Z for that, but I don't remember any smear campaigns against Colin Kaepernick, right? And the thing about it is, the protest wasn't about Colin Kaepernick. This is Nessa's issue, is Colin Kaepernick being blackballed and not getting a job in the NFL, which is wrong. And that's her dude. You know, she should take issue with that and speak up about that, or whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying, that wasn't our issue. Our issue was about what Colin Kaepernick was actually protesting for, which was, you know, black men being killed extrajudiciously out here, and with all these police homicides and race soldiers killing black people, right? What is Be Active saying? What is Be Active was saying? So I'm trying to so according to official day. Oh, he didn't follow up that comment about us being Dominican. I'm trying to see what he's talking about with us being Dominican. But yeah, that was what our issue was. It was about, you know, what was happening out here with these police killings. It wasn't really about Colin Kaepernick not having a job. You know what I'm saying? But that's what her issue is. But I'm trying to remember what was the smear campaign.
And a lot of people, what I saw online, were questioning her about this. And sadly, I knew it wasn't even a question because I saw it happen to Colin. And I called this out years ago. That's why, sadly, I'm readdressing everything over.
So yeah, I just don't remember that. I'm not saying that she's wrong or that it didn't happen or that there was no smear campaign. I don't remember though. What was the smear campaign? I just don't remember that part of it. Maybe because I wasn't really concerned with that part of it. I'm looking at the bigger issue. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's something that I overlooked, but I just don't remember. I really don't remember that. You know, Colin Kaepernick, he took whatever payout he took, and he got his deal with Nike and some of the other corporate sponsors, and he made his little documentary, and he kind of just, you know, fell off the scene after that. You know what I'm saying? He kind of just fell off the scene after that. It's like, okay, so now that you're not in the NFL anymore, you're not an activist anymore. What has been his activism since then? He made some documentary talking about immigrants and Hispanics and all that. He wasn't even talking about us. You know what I'm saying? He made some documentary about some immigrant issue. So I don't know. Again, I don't know. But moving on. In other news, my girl Clarissa Shields, she got a match coming up this Saturday. Clarissa Shields got a fight coming up this Saturday. She's fighting, I think, in her hometown. I think in Flint, somewhere in Michigan. But the talk around Clarissa Shields has been about her and a possible match against the legendary Layla Ali. Now, reportedly, you know, this has been talks for a long time. They've been kind of going at each other, talking smack about each other, whatever the case may be. Who's the real greatest of all time? Who's the best fighter of all time and all of that? Layla has openly said that she don't really like Clarissa, she didn't say that she don't like Layla Ali, but she just thinks she's better than Layla Ali. And she thinks she could beat her. And, she feels kind of slighted and disrespected by Layla Ali. So she wants to give her that fade. You know what I'm saying? And so reportedly, Layla Ali said, I didn't see her say this, but this is what the internet is saying. Layla Ali said she'll fight Clarissa Shields for 15 to 20 million. She'll come out of retirement at her big age, which she got to be what, 47, 48, something like that. Then they're 50 years old. Somewhere up there. Hold on. How old is Layla Ali?
Layla Ali is...
She's 47. And she's saying for 15 to 20 million, she'll come out of retirement to fight Clarissa Shields. And so Clarissa Shields is saying she got the bread. Clarissa Shields got with her team and said, okay, hold on. Let me share the screen with y'all again. Hold on. She got with her team and they saying, okay, you need 15 million to get in the ring and come get this work. We got you.
Shields, there's rumors that you're gonna come back and fight her. What everybody's talking about it, or in the box.
See, she said, where did that come from? So I don't know. Hold on. I don't even think I saw this right here. Let me see if this is something that she actually said. Let me see.
The rumor that I heard was that I said that unless somebody had 15, 20 million, don't even call me about this. That's all.
She said the rumor that I heard was that I said, unless you got 15 to 20 million, don't even call me about this. So I think people are running with this statement as her saying she would fight her for 15 to 20 million. She's saying she heard that rumor. That's what she said. But Clarissa responded to it as if she's saying she'll fight her for 15 to 20 million. I like to be right and exact and not really run with rumors and stuff like that. What she just said out of her mouth was she heard the rumor that she would fight her for 15 to 20 million. So hold on.
Turkey has that money. Turkey's going to set this up. I know it.
Unless somebody calls me and says they have it, we're not even going to have a conversation. I'm not trying to come back and fight, but if someone offered that kind of money, I would actually have to think about it.
Okay. So that was an internet rumor that she would fight her for that amount of money. But he's saying, whoever's interviewing her is saying, hey, Turkey Al-Sheikh might put that money up. Those who don't know Turkey Al-Sheikh, he's a big promoter in the boxing world now. He owns Ring Magazine and all of that. He's putting together a lot of the fights that you're seeing nowadays. And so she's saying, look, I'm not thinking about coming out of retirement to fight nobody, but 15 to 20 million, that might be something I have to think about. You know what I'm saying? That's something that most of us might have to think about. You offer any of us 15, 20 million to go fight somebody, might have to consider it. Right? See, me, I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight. So that means I got to get in there with Usyk or one of them boys. I got to get in there with goddamn Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? I got to go in there and fight one of these heavyweights. I ain't really trying to do that, but 15 million? I don't know. I might have to think about that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I might not be in position to turn that down. And so that's what she's saying. That's all Layla Ali is saying. So let's get it right. Let's get it right. Layla's not over here talking shit, talking about put up the money so I can fight and all that. She's responding to the rumor. Okay, let's get that right. Shout out to Layla Ali. I met her before. She's a very beautiful lady in person.
I'll talk to Turkey tonight.
Do I look like I can fight again?
Yes, you do.
I think so.
Shields, there's rumors.
I like Layla Ali and I like Clarissa Shields. I like both fighters, but right about now, I don't think it's no way in hell Layla Ali, comes out of retirement and beats a Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields is the real goddamn deal. You know what I'm saying? She's just turned 30. She young, she in her prime. She hungry still. She still got a chip on her shoulder because even with all her accomplishments, she still doesn't get her just due. You know what I'm saying? Everything that she's accomplished in the sport, she's out accomplished every female fighter, including Layla Ali. She has more accolades than Layla Ali and every other female fighter in the history of boxing. So for it not to be unanimous that she's the GOAT, for her to have to really toot her own horn the way that she do, most boxers toot their own horn anyway. You know what I'm saying? You kind of got to have that confidence and that chip on your shoulder to be successful as a boxer. But for her, it's even more so because she doesn't really get the props that she actually deserves. And so that adds to, you know, the fierceness that she comes in the ring with. You know what I'm saying? Layla Ali, she don't have that chip on her shoulder. You know what I'm saying? She didn't grow up like Clarissa Shields. She don't got the background of Clarissa Shields coming up out of Flint, Michigan and all of that. You know what I'm saying? She's the daughter of the legendary Muhammad Ali. She's had a good life most of her life. You know what I'm saying? And she was a very good boxer, but she don't got that edge that Clarissa Shields got. So that's a dangerous situation for her to put herself in. But again, 15 million is 15 million. 20 million is 20 million. But Clarissa responded and she had her team put together this whole little press conference, kind of like a press conference that they did, saying they got the 15 million, they got the venue, so let's get it popping. So we'll see what happens as that story progresses. We'll see what happens with that. I would watch it. You know what I mean? I'll be damned if I'm not tuning in. I'm definitely tuning in. That makes some big money doing that. And speaking of legendary females, Salt-N-Pepa. Did y'all hear the news about Salt-N-Pepa? Salt-N-Pepa, I think they filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group for hold on, let me see what this says. All right. Universal Music Group is firing back at Salt-N-Pepa's attempts to win back control of their masters. So yeah, that's what it is. They're trying to get control of their master recordings from back in the days from Universal Music Group. And so they filed this lawsuit to try to get those masters, try to get control of their masters and all of that. And UMG has responded in a motion to dismiss the lawsuit brought by Salt-N-Pepa back in May. UMG says that the claims are legally invalid as the hip-hop duo was not actually a party to its 1986 record deal. Now, how does that work? The music giant says Salt-N-Pepa's 1986 distribution deal with Next Plateau Records, now a part of UMG, was actually signed by the duo's producer, Herbie Lovebug Azar. So y'all remember Herbie Lovebug, you know what I'm saying? He was their manager, producer. He was always in the videos with them, Kid and Play and all of that stuff. They're saying they actually did a deal with him and not them. But how would that work if, you know, you do a record deal? I'm the man, I'm managing this group. You signed them to a record deal through me. You signed the manager, but you record and distribute music for the act that's not signed. I do not understand how that works legally. If that is the case, that was some foul business going on with UMG, Next Plateau Records, and with Lovebug, with Herbie Lovebug. That was some dirty shit if that's how that went down. So these girls thinking they got a record deal, but they ain't even signed nothing. They going in the studio recording music and doing tours and doing all of this stuff, and their name ain't nowhere on the paperwork. And they going through all of these years wondering why they ain't getting paid. They like, well, damn, we saw in Pepper, we sold all these records and all that shit. Where the money at? And they just thinking, okay, we got a bad deal. And so, you know, they probably learned a little something about the game after a certain amount of time. You're eligible to retain your masters. You know, I think it's 30 years or 32 years or something like that. After 32 years after the contract, you're able to apply for ownership of your masters as the artist. And so they probably found out about that, and they was trying to go through the process to get get control of their masters and all of that. My bad, y'all. They try to go through that whole process, and then come to find out, we ain't even signed y'all. We signed Herbie. We signed Herbie Lovebug. That's some dirty shit right there. That's some dirty shit right there. I ain't never heard nothing like that. Let me see. These are useless if the mind is blind and she is making. Why don't you ask AI about the Hispaniola 1526? I don't think some of y'all actually know how AI works. He said, so this is the guy. Hold on. I'm trying to read through the comments here. The Be Active guy told me, why don't I ask AI about the Hispaniola 1526? I don't know what that got to do with us, foundational Black Americans over here. But at the same time, I don't think y'all know how AI actually works. You know what I'm saying? AI, when you're using AI, as far as finding information and stuff like that, you basically what you are creating in your AI algorithm is an echo chamber. You know that? You're basically training AI to think the way that you want it to think and to respond the way that you want it to respond. You know what I'm saying? So if you have been using ChatGPT to hate on foundational Black Americans, your ChatGPT is basically a tether at this point. If that's what you've been doing with your ChatGPT, trying to find ways to hate on foundational Black Americans, trying to find information to shoot down our narrative and what we're saying, you basically have trained ChatGPT to be your fellow tether. And so now it's just feeding you back tether babble. That's how AI works. You know what I'm saying? AI is not like, you know what I'm saying, this machine that just got all the answers. And you just ask AI for the answers to certain questions and they just know all the answers. That's not how AI works. AI is just a search engine machine that learns as it goes. You know what I'm saying? AI, your ChatGPT just has the ability to search the internet in a matter of seconds to find information pertinent to the keywords that you type in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's a learning model. It's a language learning model. So you're training it to basically respond to you the way that you want it to respond. So you could get AI to tell you anything. You can get AI to tell you anything that you want to hear. You training your ChatGPT just to be a tether like you. What's your name? Be Active. There was already an established slave population in Hispaniola. Many slaves were born locally, not directly imported from Africa. These local-born slaves were familiar with Spanish colonial systems. I don't even know what you're trying to say. What's your point? We know that there was slavery in the island of Hispaniola, which is now Haiti and the Dominican Republic. We know that there was slavery there. And actually, the part of what you're saying there is not really true. You said many slaves were born locally, not directly. Actually, that's not really how it went down in Haiti. That's one of the major differences between how slavery was conducted here and other places, and Haiti specifically. Because in Haiti, what they did over there was they would just work people until they died. They didn't really have breeding farms and all of that stuff over there in Haiti. They was importing people from a particular part of West Africa, I think mainly Angola, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, most of them came from like the Angola area. I could be mistaken on that particular part, but it was a particular part of West Africa that they were getting the majority of slaves imported to Haiti. And they would just literally work people to death and then just import more slaves. That's how they were doing things over there. So I don't even know what point you're trying to make. I don't know what you're saying, bro. Yeah, Bruce. AI gives you back what's been put into it. Exactly. 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 So your chat GPT is tether babbling just like you. That's all. That's all. But yeah, that's fucked up what happened with Salt and Pepper, y'all. That shit that's going on with Salt and Pepper. I ain't never heard a situation like that. What else is going on before we get to the main topic? What else is going on before we get to this main topic? What was this? Okay, now I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about the Nicki Minaj thing. Hold on a second. What's this? Oh, a lot of people were talking about that. Yeah, I'm not going to play this one though, because that's Fox News giving their perspective on it. I don't really care about Fox News's perspective, but a lot of people were talking about Barack Obama. He made an appearance on his wife's podcast, I believe it was. Michelle Obama got a little podcast situation, and Barack was a guest on there, and he was on there talking about men, just us needing to basically just trying to redefine masculinity. Basically trying to say we got masculinity all wrong, and the way that we see masculinity being tied to us being providers and all of that, that's not exactly the case according to him. And we got to be okay with not being able to provide, and we need to get more in touch with our emotions and more in touch with our feminine side, and we could all benefit from having a gay friend or two, is what Obama was on there saying. He was talking about some, I think he said one of his professors in college or somebody when he was in college, a mentor he had or somebody like that, was a gay dude. And, he learned so much from this guy, and, the guy helped him get in touch with his feminine side. And he would recommend that to all men. All men need to have at least one gay friend in their friend group. And, that guy will show you what it really means to be a man. Get you a gay friend so you can learn what masculinity is all about and what it really means to be a man. Because you guys got this one-sided view about what manhood is. And now that I sent all your jobs overseas and you guys can't really provide for your families and stuff like that, you're feeling a little inadequate, but that's because you got this whole manhood thing all wrong. Get you a gay friend, and you'll learn what it really means to be a man, and you'll be okay with not being able to provide for your family. It's basically what Obama was out here trying to sell. And people are like, what is this nigga talking about? People are like, what the hell is this nigga talking about? So Obama's name is dirt out here, man. Obama's name is dirt out here, man. He just throwing his legacy in the trash can at this point. He said, I needed that clip for those in my circle who think he's not gay. Right. Yeah, Obama's tripping. The reason why I said to ask AI is because FBA don't really like to read about real history. Really? We don't like to read about real history, huh? Okay. But the actual 1526 event is documented, and the real documentation will let you know that FBAs are Dominicans. What's the 1526 event according to you, sir? What is the 1526 event according to you that makes us Dominicans? Just explain what you're saying, man. Stop babbling and explain what the hell you're saying. What event in 1526 makes us Dominican? I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this. PD that remains said Obama might as well just come out of the closet like a R. Kelly video. Obama. I don't know what Obama was talking about, man. All right. We're gonna get into the main topic, man. we're gonna get into the main topic. But before we do that, one more silly one before we get into the main topic. Did y'all see? Y'all remember the woman? What was it? Last year, 2 years ago, something like that. There was a woman out there in Texas who said that a black man hit her in the face with a brick. What was we calling her? Brick something? We was calling her brick something. I forgot the name we gave her. But y'all remember her? She made the video. Her face was all swollen, and she said some black dude hit her in the face with a brick because she wouldn't talk to him, or she wouldn't give him his number, or whatever, give him her number, or whatever it was. And we all said it was cap from day one. We all knew she was capping, and she got exposed for lying about that whole thing. Y'all remember that? You said that guy be active. He chills with Derek Cologne. Oh, he's one of Derek Cologne's guys. Is that why he's saying we Dominican? So Dominicans created hip hop 50-50 or something? What is he saying? What is he saying? That's one of Derek Cologne's people, huh? Okay. But did y'all see? She's back in the news, the brick lady. They said the woman who went viral after claiming a man assaulted her with a brick in Houston has been charged with felony theft by deception after allegedly raising tens of thousands of dollars in a GoFundMe scam. So I believe this is a separate GoFundMe scam. I don't think this is tied to the brick incident. I think this is a whole nother finesse that she tried to run. And now her dumb ass is being charged with a felony. Theft by deception. Just out here finessing. And wasn't she Ethiopian or something? She was from somewhere out there in East Africa. She was from somewhere out there in East Africa. All right. But let me see. Let me see what y'all talk about in the chat real quick. Brickzilla. Is that? No, we had a different name for her. Brickzilla's funny though, but we had a different name for her. We was calling her something else. Yeah, she's an East African scammer. I appreciate that, Mr. T. So he's just another troll. Appreciate that, Mr. T. Appreciate that. Yeah, he out here talking about we Dominican. From if we say we go back to 1526, that means we Dominican. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, that anti-black karma catching up with him. Yeah. That anti-black karma, her dumb ass out here finessing. FBA Justice says yes, there is a state of emergency for foundational Black Americans. There always has been, and I agree with FBA Justice. And so that's what we're talking about today. I agree with FBA Justice. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hold on. Damn. My bad. Hold on. Let me reset that. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And so as we get into that, if you support the channel, you can definitely support us via Cash App. That's $GodCast ENT. $GodCast ENT. Or you could just participate in the super chat as well. We got the super chat thing going. So if you want to cop a super chat, you could do that as well. All support is appreciated. And all participants will have the opportunity to hop on the live and share your thoughts about today's topic. This is Nicey girl texting me. So yeah, she's at the event with Danae and Camilla Moore, the reparations event today out there in California. She just texted me. Shout out to Nicey girl. But yeah, $GodCast ENT, that's the Cash App. Or you can hit up the super chat. All support is appreciated. And again, all participants, all participants We'll have the opportunity to hop on the live and share your thoughts on today's episode. What is Be Active talking about? There was no Haiti in 1526. That's correct. But anyhow, the 1526 event is the Lucas Vasquez del Ayllón was the captain and leader of the 1526. I still don't know what event you're talking about, but okay. Send nicety girl y'all love. Okay, I'm gonna texting her back right now. Texting her back right now. She just sent me a picture. She just sent me a picture of some white dude that's at the event, wearing a suit and some Jordan 1s. I don't know if he's white or white Hispanic or what. She just sent me this picture. Some dude at the event. I don't know why she sent me this, but that's funny. I think that's Camilla Moore right there. Oh, she said he's a Republican who's pro reparations. So that's not the other guy that was at the that was trying to bring the bill to the table at the reparations thing out there in California last year. Bill Asales was, I think his name was Bill Asales, something like that. This is not him. This is another white Republican that she's saying is pro reparations. And so they always trying to tell us that the Republicans are the boogeyman and we ain't never going to get nowhere with the Republicans. So we might as well vote blue no matter who. But I don't know. Some of the Republicans is on board. Looks like no reps for non-Africans. Oh, well, natives don't need help. Let's change the name from FBAs to FNA so no one confuses us for Black people or Africans. We need to be clearly identifiable. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Hertz. I don't agree with that, Mr. Hertz. I'm Black. I'm a foundational Black American. There's no confusion. People are pretending to be confused. People are not confused for real. There's no confusion. Yeah, the Bill Asales guy, he was a white Israeli guy, a pale Arab. This is a different guy that she's saying is a Republican who's pro reparations. That's not him. It's a different guy. It's a different guy. I'll ask her about it when she gets back. Maybe we'll talk about it on next week's broadcast. She'll let us know how the event went and give us all the details and things like that. All right. So, yeah, today's topic are foundational Black Americans in a state of emergency due to these DEI rollbacks. Let's get into this. Let me see what some of the articles that came out are talking about. Where's the Mark Morial thing at? That's the thing I want to talk about. Okay. Let me pull this up. And hopefully this don't slow down the stream because there's a lot of pop-ups. But this is from PBS. National Urban League declares state of emergency for civil rights. Close these pop-ups. National Urban League declares state of emergency for civil rights in the U.S. under Trump. One of the nation's oldest civil rights organizations on Thursday declared a state of emergency for anti-discrimination policies, personal freedoms, and Black economic advancement in response to President Donald Trump's upending of civil rights precedents and the federal agencies traditionally tasked with enforcing them. So this is what the Urban League is saying. The National Urban League's annual State of Black America report accuses the federal government of being increasingly determined to sacrifice its founding principles and threatening to impose a uniform education system and a homogeneous workforce that sidelines anyone who doesn't fit a narrow exclusionary mode, according to a copy obtained by the Associated Press. If left unchecked, it says, they risk reversing decades of progress that have made America more dynamic, competitive, and just. This is what they're saying. Report critiques racism entering mainstream of America. The report released Thursday at the group's conference in Cleveland, Ohio, criticizes the administration for downsizing federal agencies and programs that enforce civil rights policies. The authors aim to highlight what they saw as a multi-year coordinated effort by conservative legal activists, lawmakers, and media personalities to undermine civil rights policy and create a political landscape that would enable a hard right agenda on a range of social and economic policies. Wish I would get to it. All of this babbling. He said, it is not random. It is well-funded, well-organized, well-orchestrated movement of many, many years. That's what Mark Morale said. He's the president of the Urban League. For a long time, people saw white supremacist politics and white nationalism as on the fringe of American politics. It has now become the mainstream of the American right, whose central foundation is within the Republican Party. So, like we've been saying, you notice how these legacy civil rights organizations, who are basically just satellites of the left-wing Democratic Party, you know, that's their paymasters. They get their paymasters, the corporate structure and the DNC. That's who they got to answer to. That's who they got to try to galvanize us for. But you notice they only talk about white supremacy in a modern context if they could point to Trump and the Republicans. Whenever they talk about racism and white supremacy, they're either talking about something in history back in the days, or they're talking about MAGA, Donald Trump, and the Republicans. That's the only time you hear them talking about racism, white supremacy. They don't talk about the racism of Joe Biden. They don't talk about how racist Joe Biden is and call him out on his racism. But if they could point to the Republicans, they don't got no problem saying the words white supremacy. Let me read a little bit more of this. The report directly critiques Project 2025. Here they go with this boogeyman. A sweeping blueprint for conservative governance coordinated by the Heritage Foundation think tank. Project 2025 advised approaches to federal worker layoffs, immigration enforcement, and congressional and legislative branches similar to the Trump administration's current strategy. Okay. The Urban League report condemns major corporations, universities, and top law firms for reversing diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. It also criticizes social media companies like Meta and X for purported censorship of Black activists and creatives and content moderation policies that allegedly enabled extremists to spread radicalizing views. Okay, so hold on. So first of all, says the Urban League is condemning universities, top law firms, and certain corporations for rolling back their DEI policies. As we all know, and we discussed ad nauseum here, how DEI has not benefited foundational Black Americans whatsoever. That goes for affirmative action too. DEI, affirmative action. What's the other one? Critical race theory. All of these little catchphrases that they use to create the illusion of inclusion. Those terms are supposed to make us feel like we're being included. When they champion these DEI programs, affirmative action programs, etc., when they're championing those programs, that's supposed to make us feel seen and included, right? And when those programs are being gutted by the Republicans, that's supposed to, they're using that to try to stoke fear within us in order to galvanize us and get us back on the Democratic plantation. You know what I'm saying? But I know that I know I'm preaching to the choir here, But there might be some people tuning in or watching this on the replay who ain't really up on game like that, who don't really understand that this shit ain't got nothing to do with us. This is them trying to use our plight to get policies and everything put in place to benefit other groups, particularly immigrant groups. That's all this is for, trying to use our plight to benefit them. That shit, none of that shit benefited us at all. Even Dr. Anderson, shout out to Dr. Claud Anderson, who wrote one of the first affirmative action plans in the nation, told us we need to pull out of the affirmative action thing because it's been co-opted and it no longer works for us. Let me play some stuff from Dr. Anderson. Hold on. My bad. Hold on. Let me play some stuff from Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson been telling us a long time ago about this con game. Is this it right here? Yeah. Been telling us about this con game. Let me go ahead. Fair use, by the way. Let me play. It might be a commercial.
The worst kind of.
Okay. Blow this up.
Racism is the racism that pretends that unequals are equals. And that's what the worst kind of racism is the racism that pretends that unequals are equals. And that's what they've done to you. And they got this whole new concept called a colorblind society. And what colorblind society means, let's be blind to black.
Hold on, let me speed this up a little bit, actually. Where is it? Let me change the playback speed on here. So number one, we could get through it rather quickly, and two, might not get no copyright issues.
Black folk, we don't see them.
Let me bring that back.
And they're hiding in colorblind society. And what colorblind society means, let's be blind black folk, we don't see them. And they're hiding and smothering it again for you. And that's what it means. Now, where did it come from? It came from some of the white civil rights think tanks out of Washington. After the civil rights movement, what they wanted to do was say, let's bury the issue with black folk. And they gave our civil rights leaders a chance after the civil rights movement to make the difference. They didn't take it. Our black leadership displayed inappropriate behavior coming out of the civil rights movement.
And so he's talking about black civil rights group like the Urban League, black civil rights groups like the Urban League, who dropped the ball when they had the opportunity to actually get something done for black folks. They dropped the ball. Let me let them cook. Hold on. Bring it back a little bit if I can. Hold on.
The black folk. And they gave our civil rights leaders a chance after the civil rights movement to make the difference. They didn't take it. Our black leadership displayed inappropriate behavior coming out of the civil rights movement. Throughout the civil rights movement, when they should have been focused on the real issue, they didn't do it. Instead of focusing on correcting the historical damage that had been inflicted on black folk, they started messing around with civil rights integration. And never touched the problem. Ran all over the country, thinking that by taking down the signs over water fountains over the bathrooms about color only or black only, that they were dealing with racism. They didn't even touch racism. Racism was 3 stories down. Getting a black folk to sit in a white restaurant or sit in front of a bus has no meaning at all.
That's the same thing as DEI. That's the same thing as DEI. Integrating the restaurants and the buses, that don't change the status quo. And in fact, it benefits others more than it benefits us.
The second thing they did was they never had a plan. They ran all over the country from one demonstration, one march to the next one, never had a national plan about what they're going to do when they get there and what the next generation of blacks are going to do. And thirdly, they never built an institution to carry out a national plan. And when they did that, whites then changed their policy on blacks.
We can't make these same mistakes. Last week when we had Danae Wright on, she made a good point when she was talking about, what we need to be doing in this era to make sure that the next generation ain't pissed off at us. We got to get things right in this era. We got to get this fight right and exact so that the next generation can have a platform to stand on. Even if we don't make it all the way to the finish line as far as reparations and all of that, we don't make it all the way to the finish line. We need to get the next generation closer to that finish line than what we started off with, based on, some of the mistakes and some of the sabotage that was done by the previous generation before us. We need to be making moves that's going to make the next generation proud of us. You know what I'm saying? So when he's talking about us having a national plan, when he's talking about us building our own institutions to carry out that national plan, that's the type of things that we need to be focused on right now.
They figured out black folk had displayed inappropriate behavior and missed the boat. So what they did then, they said, let's put the moves on them. Johnson then wrote a law saying, you got to correct the conditions of black folk in 1965, what's called the Affirmative Action Bill. When it came out, they put the news on us. It's another issue again. Affirmative action was supposed to be intended to correct those structural inequities between blacks and whites that have occurred as a direct result of all those years of things I'm talking about. As soon as the bill came out, whites immediately started changing and black leadership bought it. The issue was supposed to be going this way. Watch how they flip the glasses upside down on you. The issue was supposed to be correcting historical discrimination, what has happened to blacks historically about racism and discrimination. They switched and said, let's not talk about historical, let's talk about present day and the future. You're supposed to have been dealing with racism, which means group-based. They said, no, forget about that, let's deal with individual discrimination. The issue was supposed to be focusing on dealing with things that have happened to black folk. They said, no, let's deal with issues pertaining to everybody. Women, gays, handicapped, everything else. And when they did that, they destroyed affirmative action. Don't even waste your time even chasing affirmative action anymore. It's been destroyed. It was supposed to be helping.
He said, don't even waste your time chasing affirmative action no more. It's been destroyed. Same goes for DEI. Same goes for DEI. These things that are for minorities and underserved communities and marginalized communities and all of that shit, that means everybody but black. That's that colorblind society shit. Pretend we don't see color. Pretend we don't see black folks no more. We don't see color, so you can't see black folks. And so we get blended in with everybody else, which enables them to ignore the historic wrong that has been done to us and not have to do anything to correct that. That's why delineation is so important. That's why delineation is so important. Us, getting around our lineage and making our demands and everything around our lineage, that's the most important thing that we could have done. And that's all he was trying to tell our parents to do back in the days. That's what he was trying to tell them. All these Hispanics coming over here, all of these Caribbeans and Africans coming over here, they coming over here to compete with you. That's what he was trying to tell them back then. They're coming over here to be competition for you. And the white supremacists are using them to be a buffer class to ignore your ass. You know what I mean? And everything that he said was prophetic. We getting buried under all of this shit. Let me let him cook.
Black folk. Now, what the other groups did, they said now that somebody put out a law to help black folk, how do we become equal to blacks? And that's when the Hispanics jumped up this thing called Hispanic, the concept. Before that, we didn't have anything called Hispanic. But they found it
wasn't no such thing as a Hispanic before the early 1970s. Wasn't no such thing as a Hispanic. They created this fake thing called Hispanic in order to bring all Spanish-speaking people under one umbrella and pretend that they're one minority marginalized group and that they're equal to black people. So you took Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, El Salvadorians, all of these people who don't really have anything in common other than their language. They all got a common colonizer. But other than that, they're separate ethnic groups. They don't have a common history the way me and you got as foundational Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a shared history. They were all fragmented under their own ethnic groups, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, et cetera, et cetera. They created this thing called Hispanic in order to bring all of them under one umbrella, and so that they can now, in this day, be able to say that they are the majority minorities and that their issues and their concerns should take precedent over ours because of their numbers. That's the con game that they ran. That's the con game that they ran. And we helped them. We helped them by supporting all of these goddamn programs and pushing for DACA and all of this shit. We helped them get in position to undermine us.
Before that, we didn't have anything called Hispanic. But they thought in the late 60s and early 60s that black folk might get some out of the civil rights movement. So what they did, they went to the table and came up with a whole term called Hispanic. They said, let's go all over the world and find everybody who speaks Spanish and pretend they're equal to black folk. And let's pretend that the Spanish language has been handicapped, Jim Crow, enslaved, hung, lynched, decapitated, and everything else, and therefore is entitled to be treated like a black person. And they fabricated a new race called Hispanics. The worst kind of racism.
They fabricated a whole new race called Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? Actually, let me play this other one too, because even Dr. Amos Wilson, for all my Pan-Africans out there, and ain't nothing wrong with being a Pan-African. If you're a Pan-African, you know what I'm saying? More power to you. I ain't got no problem with people being Pan-African. But for the Pan-Africans who try to say that we're being divisive and they try to hold up people like Dr. Amos Wilson and the Malcolm X's and people like that to try to say that, you know, basically we off code. No. Even Dr. Amos Wilson knew what time it was when it came to us being too inclusive with everybody. Hold on. Let me get that video. Make sure it ain't no commercial. Okay. So first, we're going to hear again from Dr. Claud Anderson, and then Dr. Amos Wilson is going to speak. Let me share the screen again. And y'all pay attention. The video is sped up, but y'all should be able to still hear it pretty good. We say DEI is just another affirmative action by another name. AIPAC spends money on candidates, and we spend money on Jordans. I wouldn't say that. M City King 84. I wouldn't say that. That's a misnomer. That's an anti-black trope. That's an anti-black trope. And we just spend all our money on Jordans. When you look at the data, because you always hear this thing about the black dollar and the spending power that we have as Black Americans. And supposedly we're just squandering all of this spending power that we have as Black Americans. Yeah, Black Americans, y'all got $2 trillion in spending power. And that's more than almost every country in the world except for 9 countries. There's only 9 countries that have, a GDP higher than you guys' spending power. But when you look at the data, the majority of the expenses that Black people have go on their daily needs. Most of our money just goes to paying bills, putting food on the table, putting gas in the car. You know what I'm saying? Daycare. That's where the majority of our money goes to. Niggas ain't just out here tricking off all their bread on Jordans and shit like that. That's an anti-black trope. That's some bullshit. Don't buy into that. I don't know if you was trying to be funny or what, but don't buy into that one. That's some bullshit. But let's hear from the master teachers, man.
The dubious honor being the person who wrote that first affirmative action plan for the state of Florida in 1971. It went all over the country, a comprehensive plan. I didn't write the plan for minorities, poor folk.
So he's talking about affirmative action when he wrote the affirmative action plan. He said he had the dubious honor of writing one of the first affirmative action plans in the country. And when he wrote the plan, he didn't write the plan for minorities. He wrote it for Black folks.
I have the dubious honor of being the person who wrote that first affirmative action plan for the state of Florida in 1971. It went all over the country, a comprehensive plan. I didn't write the plan for minorities, poor folk, Asians, Hispanics, Arabs, midgets, humpbacks, lesbians. I wrote it for Black folk. But immediately the whole frame of reference is the way you keep Black folk down is always the loot and water something, make pretense for everybody. And that way anything for everybody is for nobody. And so he took that minority program, the affirmative action program, made it a minority program. And said, now I want the affirmative action program to die for that reason. Like in 1999,
he said, so they took the affirmative action program and made it a minority program so that it could be for everybody except Black folks. And now I want it to die. He wrote it. And he's saying he wanted to die because it has been weaponized against us. So how do we die? How does it die? We just stop supporting it. If we don't support it, it don't got no legs to stand on because none of these other people that it's benefiting have an actual grievance to justify it. So if we're not supporting it, that just pulls the legs out from under the table. And that's what we see happening now with DEI and all of this stuff. The reason why it's so easily being gutted now is because we don't support it. We don't give a fuck about it. We ain't tripping on that shit.
Go down to Texas, and a program written for Black folk. I look at the amount of money in state contracts in Texas that year, and white women got 78%. And nobody in our Black leadership, in our Black overclass, the Black civil rights movement, say, hold on a second, how you gonna put white women into a minority, into an affirmative action program set up for Black folk? In 1999, I go down to Texas, and a program written for Black folk. I look at the amount of money in state contracts in Texas that year, and white women got 78%. And nobody in our Black leadership, in our Black overclass, the Black civil rights movement, say, hold on a second, how you gonna put white women into a minority, into an affirmative action program set up for Black folk when she was. In 1999, I go down to Texas, and a program written for Black folk. I look at the amount of money in state contracts in Texas that year, and white women got 78%. And nobody in our Black leadership, in our Black overclass, the Black civil rights movement, say, hold on a second, how you gonna put white women into a minority, into an affirmative action program set up for Black folk when she was right along with the white man? She co-owned.
So you got an affirmative action program that's supposed to be set up for Black folks, and white women getting 78% of the benefits from it. 78%. Just white women. Just white women by themselves.
as the black civil rights movement said, hold on a second, how you gonna put white women into a minority, into an affirmative action program set up for black folk when she was right along with the white man? She co-owned, co-controlled, co-influenced, co-herited, and everything that the white slave owner had, she had it too. She sat in the same house, on the same table, slept in the same bed, and raised his kids. How is she entitled to be competitive with black men or black people in the society? But our black leadership didn't say anything, so white women went into the affirmative action program and took it over and dominated it. That's why you go to Coca-Cola about 3 years ago. Coca-Cola company almost.
Our black leadership didn't say anything. So again, he's talking about the Urban League and other organizations like it, NAACP, so on and so forth. They ain't say nothing about it. They ain't say nothing about it. Because that's their job. That's their job, is to make sure that the status quo is maintained. And so that they can get their little individual benefits and crumbs flicked off the table for them. You know what I mean? Throw us under the bus and sacrifice us so that they can get their butter biscuits. And they still trying to do it now. But this shit ain't working. It ain't working no more, Mr. Morial, whatever your name is.
With black men or black people in society. But our black leadership didn't say anything, so white women went into the affirmative action program and took it over and dominated it. That's why you go to Coca-Cola about 3 years ago. Coca-Cola company, almost 66% of all the money on the minority program with white women. And in Texas, white women got 78%, and Hispanics got 21%, and blacks got 9/10 of 1. Because again, we don't know how to play the game. We keep buying into these myths about these very broad, ambiguous groupings. And all that stuff started immediately after the Civil War.
I'm very interesting. White women are not afraid, and the white feminists are not afraid to talk about power.
So that's
we as African Americans seem to have.
So this is Dr. Amos Wilson right here. This is Dr. Amos Wilson speaking right here too. And he's talking about how us as black folks, we too goddamn inclusive with everything. We got to learn how to be more exclusive and about power. You know what I mean? He's talking about how white folks, white women specifically, they ain't afraid to talk about power. When they talk about what they need and what they want to get done for themselves, they ain't not afraid to make power moves. But with us, we gotta be inclusive of everybody. We gotta do some universal humanitarian rising tide lift all boats bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You out here worried about what's going on with the illegals getting deported and shit like that. That ain't none of our business. They ain't got nothing to do with us. They ain't got nothing to do with us. And the worst part about that is these groups are hostile against us. These same people that we out here supporting and going to bat for, they are hostile against us. Let me let Dr. Amos Wilson cook for my Let me let Dr. Amos Wilson cook for all my Pan-Africans out there.
And the white feminists are not afraid to talk about power. We as African Americans seem to have a problem with talking about power. But these women will talk about empowerment just as they talk about anything else. And they're clear that they want real power in this society. I was reading a piece here the other day where you have now lending institutions that are designed to lend money to women going into business exclusively, not including men and other minorities. I'm saying that because you see, one of the things that black folk are, we are over-inclusive. We want to bring everybody in on the party. And we've been made guilty when we don't bring everybody in. And there's a group that's founded, it's lending institutions and so forth. And their stated purpose is to lend to women, specifically to white females, exclusively, and support their economic growth and development.
Yeah, so he's talking about how they had a program that was designed to give white women money to start businesses. White women exclusively. They wasn't including nobody else. They got something done specifically and exclusively for themselves. Money to start businesses. Wasn't nobody else included in that. So he's saying we need to take a page out of that book. We need to take a page out of that book. We need to learn how to move like that and not be afraid of power. Shout out to Dr. Amos Wilson, one of my favorites. One of my favorite scholars, Dr. Amos Wilson. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Urban League, we're not going for that. We're not really going for that. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to Urban League, y'all already know you got to follow the money. You know what I'm saying? You know what you're dealing with when you follow the money. The Urban League, they rely heavily on federal and corporate sponsorship. So they can't really champion true black empowerment. You know what I mean? If that means upsetting their paymasters. You know, they can't really champion real black empowerment because that's going to upset their paymasters. Their job is to maintain the status quo. So this emergency thing, this is permitted speech. You know what I mean? They're following marching orders, going out there, putting out this the declaration of emergency and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because it serves an agenda, not because it's disruptive in any way. It serves an agenda. You know what I'm saying? And like I said earlier, only time they get loud, start talking about racism and white supremacy is all that, and it's when they can talk about the GOP. Whenever the GOP is in power, all of a sudden, now they know the words white supremacy. But that energy is never there when Biden is in office, when Obama is in office. All of a sudden, we in a post-racial society. We in a post-racial society. Ain't no racism. Everybody got an equal chance and all of that, right? And also, them putting out this this declaration, the timing is real convenient because it comes right around the same time when the approval numbers for the DNC, the black approval numbers for the DNC has completely plummeted. Did y'all see that report? Came out a week or so ago. The numbers, their black support is in the tank. That shit is down the toilet. I forgot exactly what the number was, but it just so happens that they put this out right after that. They got record low black support for the Democrats. So this is really damage control. This is not a real concern about the state of black folks being in a state of emergency. This is damage control because if they don't satisfy their paymasters, they ain't gonna get paid no more. All that funding gonna get dried up. All that funding gonna get dried up if you can't deliver. The DNC needs them to get us back in that voting booth, so they can continue what they was trying to do with these illegals. You know what I mean? So it's real convenient, the timing of this thing. And why hasn't there been a state of emergency declared? Where are they at when it comes to reparations? Foundational Black Americans, like somebody said earlier, we've been in a state of emergency. Yeah, are we in a state of emergency? Yes, we are. Not because of Trump, not because of DEI rollbacks. We've been in an economic state of emergency. When have we not been in a state of emergency? When it comes to economics, when it comes to protections, equal protection under the law and all of that, when have we ever not been in a state of emergency? So where's the Urban League at on reparations? They don't call for reparations to redress. What's their answer when it comes to solutions for this? They're saying, okay, Trump, the boogeyman, the GOP is doing all of this, Project 2025. What's their solution? The solution is vote blue no matter who. That's the solution. That's the solution they got. Vote blue no matter who. That's the solution. They ain't talking about reparations, though. They ain't talking about cutting a check to foundational Black Americans so we can fix our own problems. You know what I mean? And Mark Morale, his track record, he has spoken down on lineage-based reparations. He's against lineage-based reparations. You know what I'm saying? So, if you don't support the repair of foundational Black Americans specifically, you can't speak for us. You or your organization. Y'all don't represent us. Y'all can't speak for us. You know what I'm saying? Only time they want to name names is when it's Donald Trump. Other than that, they like to be very vague and use a lot of vagaries. They start talking about disparities and inequity, but they don't get specific. What disparities are you talking about? What inequities are you talking about? Because if they get specific, that exposes who they're really trying to help. If they get specific about the disparities that they have an issue with, the inequities that they have an issue with, it will expose who they're really trying to help. So they use these vague terms, which is supposed to imply that it's Black. You know what I'm saying? And that's worked for so long that that's the only play that they know how to run. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Their version of Black America, when they say Black America is in a state of emergency, their version of Black America includes everybody else. That's an inclusive term when they use it. You know what I mean? So the Urban League ain't no real threat to the power structure. This whole declaration of emergency or whatever, it's all political theater. It's not no real threat to the power structure. You're not going to hear them talking about, Black autonomy. They're not going to hear them talking about us getting land, us getting checks. They operate inside the lines that are given to them because they're not really built to challenge white power. They're not really built to challenge white power. Emergency equals voter manipulation. They trying to tell us we're in a state of emergency in order to scare us to the polls. That's all that is. Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat. Oh, shout out to my girl, some chick named Star is in the building. Shout out to some chick named Star in the building. Haven't seen you in a while, beloved. Good to see you. Not an ounce of humility in those invaders. Oh, God, we still got... Oh, no, I thought that was the other guy. My bad. Lion Champion says, delineating is not going to work. You are just making yourself an easy target. You FBAs are dumb as shit. Take Amos Wilson out your rancid mouth. You haven't read any of his books. Oh, man. Like I said, Dr. Amos Wilson, one of my favorite scholars. That's a heavyweight champ. As a matter of fact, he is directly in the center of my last album cover. The Master's Table. Me and my brother DJ RP Beats, we did an album called The Master's Table. And on the cover, we got like a Last Supper type of situation going on. And we got 7 giants sitting at the Master's Table. You know what I'm saying? And directly in the center, the Christ figure in the picture is Dr. Amos Wilson. But I don't know nothing about Dr. Amos Wilson, though. I don't know nothing about Dr. Amos Wilson. Now, Dr. Amos Wilson was talking about us, our need to be exclusive. You know what I mean? Anyway. I'm trying to see what else y'all talking about in here. They don't want black people to vote. Don't you see what is happening? Open your eyes and look at the bigger picture. Who don't want black people to vote? Who don't want black people to vote? What you talking about? Blue down ballot, right? Vote blue down ballot. All right, that type of shit. Chan Kruma's FBA. Yeah, Chan Kruma, that's one of our FBA brothers. I don't know what y'all discussing in the chat. Seems like there's some disagreements going on in the chat. I'm trying to skip past the trolls. Dr. Amos is on the t-shirt. Yeah, that's the album cover. That's the album cover. And shout out to some chick named Star. She dropped the link for the Master's Table album. She dropped the link for the shirt. So if you want to go get the merch for the Master's Table album, the link is in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all go get that now. The album is available on all DSPs as well. Y'all make sure you go get that. Yeah, so I don't know what y'all debating in the chat. But yeah, y'all get at them for me, man. Don't block them, mods. Don't block them. It's okay if they disagree, as long as they're not being disrespectful and, doing nothing crazy. It's okay if they disagree. But I wanted to show y'all something else that coincides with this topic as well. and that is this story right here. So USDA ends key support for black farmers amid Trump's anti-DEI orders. All right. So this was a story that was in Capital B News. The U.S. Department of Agriculture will no longer use the term socially disadvantaged. Good. They said hold on. The U.S. Department of Agriculture will no longer use the term socially disadvantaged. Somebody needs to really talk to our black farmers. I forgot the brother's name. That's like the head of the Black Farmer Organization. We talked about him a few times before, and he uses all of these broad, ambiguous terms about minority farmers and all of this other stuff he be talking about. He needs to understand, and his organization needs to understand, that getting rid of terms like socially disadvantaged is a good thing for them. Make them get specific with the language. Don't stop being inclusive of everybody. Worry about yourself. Let the Asians and the Hispanics and all these other people worry about themselves. Y'all black farmers, y'all worry about black farmers. Y'all are foundational black Americans. Y'all have ties to this land. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a unique history. Y'all are exceptional people. Y'all are not disadvantaged people and minorities and all the other shit. Build your coalition around your lineage and get specific. Yes, throw away all these other terms. Say, yeah, we agree. Get rid of socially disadvantaged. We ain't talking about all these other people anyway. We ain't talking about all these other people. You have a real grievance that you can stand on. These other people don't have one. You have a real historical grievance that you can stand on to get your issues addressed specifically. These other people don't have it. So the Department of Agriculture will no longer use the term socially disadvantaged, which described farmers or ranchers who had been subject to racial, ethnic, or gender discrimination. What? The department adopted the language in the 1990 Farm Bill to deliver resources to minority farmers. This has been the problem. Why y'all think black farmers, why y'all think y'all haven't made any real progress since 1990? Why y'all think y'all still been having to file all these lawsuits and all these petitions and still trying to galvanize support to address your issues since 1990 if this bill was any good? They put this bill, they adopted the language in a farm bill from 1990. And it hasn't moved the needle for you one iota. So what are you trying to hold on to it for? Let it go. It doesn't benefit you. It has not worked for you. 1990? Almost 40 years ago. The department all right, to deliver resources to minority farmers, including through 2501 program, an initiative that requires the USDA to produce outreach and technical assistance to historically underserved farmers to ensure that they have access to grants and other resources. Make them get specific with this language. Now the agency will drop the use of the term entirely and will no longer consider race or sex-based criteria in its decision-making process for programs. Good. It doesn't have to be race-based. It says it will no longer be race or sex-based. Good. You need to make it lineage-based. Status-based. You have a unique lineage and a unique status here that other people don't have. So let's talk about that. Let's focus on that. Let's make that the focal point. Okay? Where we at? Now the agency will drop the use of the term, no longer consider race. According to the decision, this move will ensure that the USDA programs uphold the principles of meritocracy, fairness, and equal opportunity for all participants. So this is what the GOP is on. We already know what the GOP is on. But the reason why they're able to attack it and gut it like this is because you allowed all these other groups to be included, and there's no real justification for it. There's no real justification for it. You actually have a legitimate grievance that justifies having you set asides for your lineage as foundational Black American farmers. Focus on that. USDA officials did not respond to a request for comment. What's it say? The request for comment on the potential impact this policy will have on programs or on farmers of color who represent about 4% of the nation's 3.3 million producers, according to the census. So farmers of color only represent 4% of the 3.3 million producers, according to the Census of Agriculture. So even with all these programs in place and everybody else be included, y'all only make up 4%. So imagine what the percentage is when you break it down to just foundational Black American farmers. Imagine how small that percentage is, which tells you how this has been working against you and working against us, because we are one. We are one. This is love. I'm criticizing you with love, Black farmers. I'm criticizing you with love. I'm trying to pull your coat. I'm trying to pull your coat to the game. Understand, this could be a win. If you have the right perspective on what's happening here, this can be a win. Several Democratic congressional leaders are speaking out against the change and demanding the USDA be held accountable. So yeah, if the Democrats are mad at this, that means it's a good thing. If the Democrats are actually kicking and scratching about something, that means it's a good thing for us, because they ain't kicking and scratching about nothing that's going to benefit us. They ain't galvanizing no resources and putting no legislation together to try to fight nothing that's going to benefit us. So that tells you this ain't nothing to fight for. This ain't nothing to hold on to. Let it go. Let it go. He said, why aren't you guys attacking the whites who owe you reparations? You all are cowards. You focus on the people who look like you and also being oppressed. Man, all skin folk ain't kin folk. That's number one. Number two, we are the only people that fight white supremacy. Lion Champion. No other group of people have a history of fighting white supremacy like foundational Black Americans. Nobody. Not no Africans, not no Caribbeans, not no Hispanics, not no Asians. Nobody has a track record of consistently and persistently fighting against white supremacy like foundational Black Americans. Nobody. We're the only ones. As a group. So don't start pulling Kwame Ture and Marcus Garvey out your ass. I'm talking about as a group. We are the only ones. Okay, so let's get that right. And as far as us focusing on the people that look like us, they're not the main focus. We deal with them accordingly, but they're not the main focus, but they definitely have to be dealt with because they are tools of white supremacy. When we deal with you tethers, that is us fighting white supremacy. That is us fighting white supremacy. What we're doing is making you tools invaluable to the white supremacists. You know, that's how we deal with y'all. That's how we deal with y'all. We make you tethers useless. You know what I'm saying? We know y'all ain't got no real power. We ain't focused on y'all like that. We know y'all ain't got no real power. You know what I mean? Talking about us. Why don't we fight white supremacy? Meanwhile, y'all fleeing across the ocean and goddamn inner tubes, fleeing your homeland and all that. Why don't y'all stay home and fight white supremacy instead of coming over here trying to undermine us? You got a lot of nerve. Yeah. Yeah. But that's what it is. Black farmers, this is a good thing. Understand a win when you get one. Understand a win when you get one. This an alley-oop. It's an alley-oop. You know what I'm saying? So are Black Americans in a state of emergency? Yes. But we already declared one for ourselves. We didn't need the Urban League to speak for us. We already declared a national state of emergency for Black Americans ourselves. We didn't need the Urban League to speak for us. We've been knew this, that we was in a state of emergency. We didn't need no confirmation from the Urban League. You know, we have our own lived experience to inform us that we're in a state of emergency. We have our own lived experience. What we need is policy, repair, and truth, not theatrics and corporate friendly panic buttons being pushed. You know what I mean? That ain't what we need out here. That is not what we need out here. Okay. So look, I got time today. Oh, actually, no, I've been on here 2 hours already. I'm about to get out of here. I was about to invite a couple of you tethers to come on here. I was going to invite a couple of you tethers to come on here, but I've been on here 2 hours already, man. I'm done. I'm done. Perhaps another time. Perhaps another time I'll deal with you tethers. Not today. But respect to the family, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in with me as always. Shout out to my co-host, Nicety Girl. Can't wait to get the update on today's event. See how things went at the Reparations and Relaxation event out there. Can't wait to get updated on that. Hear all the details about that. Again, I'm gonna go live sometime this week, maybe tomorrow. One day this week, I'm gonna go live. Like I said, to talk about the difference between a classic and a masterpiece. And so I'm going to be using the Clips Let God Sort Them Out album and Raekwon's The Emperor's New Clothes album as the examples of what I mean when I say there's a difference between a masterpiece and a classic. I'll take either one. As an artist, I'll be glad to have either one. You know what I'm saying? They are very close in criteria, but there's a slight difference between a classic and a masterpiece. And in my opinion, as of now, I think what we have is a classic album from the Clips and a masterpiece from the God, Shallah, Raekwon the Chef. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to go live either tomorrow or another day this week to break all of that down. So y'all make sure that y'all stay tapped in with me for that. Also, again, still waiting for Ghostface album to drop. I'm going to do a live reaction when that drops. When the Mobb Deep album drops, I'm going to do a live reaction to that. I might even do Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs got an album coming out produced by The Alchemist, Alfredo 2. I might do a live reaction to that one as well. Tyler, the Creator, is dropping an album tomorrow. I'm not going to do a live reaction to that. I'm definitely going to listen to it, see what's going on with that. Who else? Big L got an album coming out. And then, of course, Nas and DJ Premier album. Of course, I'm going to do a live reaction to that. I'm going to do a full review of that. I'm going to be doing lyrical breakdowns on that. That one right there, y'all can expect me to do some full dissect, decode work on that one right there. You know what I'm saying? That one is the most highly anticipated one for me. But I've been getting some pleasant surprises while I eagerly anticipate that album. Number one is the Clips and this Raekwon album. I'm loving both of those albums right now. And so, yeah, y'all look forward to me going live with more music content as well. Other than that, we'll be back at our regular scheduled time next Sunday. Me and Nicey Girl will be back on here to chop it up with y'all. Talk about the current events and all the issues that we feel are important to what's going on in Black society. And so, yeah, thank y'all again for tuning in. Always remember, family, I am not the master teacher. I am only the master student and signal booster for the voices of the new Black media. Peace and Black love.